Welcome to the Storyteller. Here, every word is not just a sentence, it is a seed. Every story is not just a tale, it is a mirror reflecting your own hidden potential. And every moment you spend here is a step closer to the life you deserve. Today's story is not entertainment, it is a message meant for your soul. So lean in, open your heart, and let these words guide you. Because if you listen closely, not just with your ears, but with your spirit, you may discover that today is not just another day. It could be the day that changes everything. A man wakes up every morning at the exact same time. His alarm clock buzzes. He snoozes it twice, maybe 3 times. He scrolls through his phone, drags himself out of bed, rushes through breakfast, and stumbles into his day. He works, he complains, he dreams of a better life. But every evening, he comes home with the same dull ache in his chest. Weeks turn into months, months into years. And one day, as he stares into the mirror, he realizes something terrifying. Nothing has changed. His dreams are still dreams. His potential is still untapped. And the fire that once burned in his eyes has dimmed into smoke. Maybe you've met someone like this. Maybe at times you felt like this yourself. But here's the truth. Life does not have to stay this way. The famous line from The Alchemist whispers to us, when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. But the universe can only conspire with action, with choice, with courage. This is not just about motivation. This is about transformation, about listening to a story every day until it seeps into your bones, until it shifts the way you see yourself, until it wakes up that sleeping fire inside you. So today, as you hear these words, imagine that the man in the mirror is you. Imagine that today is your chance to rewrite everything. Because if you keep listening, if you keep walking with me through this story, you will not just hear words, you will hear the map to a new life. Chapter 1, The Power of Morning Choices. Let me tell you a story. There was once a young woman named Aisha. She lived in a crowded city, surrounded by noise, deadlines, and endless distractions. Like so many others, her mornings were chaos. She would wake up late, rush through her routine, and step out into the world already exhausted, already behind. Her life was ordinary, safe, predictable, but inside she felt storm. She wanted to create. She wanted to shine. Yet every day seemed to slip away like sand through her fingers. One morning, something shifted. Instead of rushing to her phone, she sat by the window and watched the sun rise. The city was still half asleep, the sky painted with gold, and for the first time in years, she felt stillness. And in that silence, she remembered a line from Marcus Aurelius. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. It hit her like a spark. If her thoughts shaped her life, then her mornings, the very first thought of her day, with a paintbrush for her future. From that day forward, Aisha changed just one thing, her morning ritual. Instead of starting with chaos, she began with clarity, a moment of gratitude, a page of journaling, a short walk in the soft morning light. At first, nothing grand happened, but slowly, her days began to feel different. She had more focus at work, more energy in her conversations, more courage to chase her art, her writing, her dreams. And then one day, she realized her entire life had shifted, not because she moved to a new city, not because she got lucky, but because she claimed her mornings. Here's the lesson. Change your mornings and you will change your life. If you begin your day in distraction, you will live in distraction. But if you begin your day with intention, the world itself will bend toward your purpose. Think about it. The sun does not rush to rise. The ocean does not rush its waves. Nature has rhythm, not chaos. And when you align with that rhythm, life stops feeling like a battle and starts feeling like a flow. So tomorrow morning, when your alarm rings, ask yourself, will I repeat yesterday or will I create today? Famous line to remember from Robin Sharma's The 5 a.m. Club. Own your morning. Elevate your life. Because life will not wait for you. But every morning, life gives you a chance to begin again. Chapter 2, Breaking the Chains of Fear. There is a story I once heard of a boy named Arjun. He lived in a small town surrounded by green fields and mountains. Everyone who knew him believed he was meant for something great. He had a spark, a brilliance, a way of seeing the world differently. But there was one thing that always held him back: fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of being laughed at. Whenever he thought about stepping out, about chasing something bigger, the same voices echoed in his head. What if you fail? What if they laugh at you? What if you're not good enough? So he stayed silent. He stayed safe. He stayed small. One day, his teacher gave him a book. It was Long Walk to Freedom by Nelson Mandela. Arjun read a line that struck him like thunder. I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. For the first time, he realized fear will never go away. The trick was not to kill it, but to walk forward in spite of it. Fear is a cage. It keeps people from becoming who they are meant to be. Think about it. How many dreams are buried in graveyards because someone was too afraid to try? How many songs were never sung? Books never written? Businesses never started? Love never confessed? Because fear whispered, don't do it? Fear is not your enemy. Fear is a compass. It points you toward the very thing you must do. Let's pause here and look at history. Thomas Edison failed more than 1,000 times before perfecting the light bulb. If fear had stopped him, we might still be living in darkness. J.K. Rowling was rejected by 12 publishers before Harry Potter was accepted. Imagine if she had listened to fear. Millions of children would have grown up without that magical world. Steve Jobs was fired from Apple, the company he created. Yet instead of letting fear destroy him, he came back stronger, reshaped the company, and changed the world. These people did not escape fear. They walked with it. I remember another story, this one about a mountain climber. He had trained for years to climb the highest peaks. But when he reached the base of Mount Everest, fear gripped him. He could see the towering wall of ice and stone, and the thought echoed in his mind, what if I don't make it back? His guide, an old Sherpa, noticed his hesitation. The Sherpa simply said, fear is the mountain's way of asking you, are you ready? And in that moment, the climber realized fear wasn't there to stop him. Fear was there to prepare him. From Dune by Frank Herbert comes one of the most powerful lines ever written about fear. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me. And when it has gone past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. Where the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain. These words are not just literature. They are a weapon, a mantra, a shield. So, how do you break the chains of fear in your own life? Let's make it simple. 1. Name your fear. Fear grows strongest in the dark. The moment you write it down, what you're truly afraid of, it begins to lose its power. 2. Take one small step. Fear hates action. The moment you move, fear shrinks. 3. Reframe failure. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is the training ground of success. 4. Remember your mortality. Marcus Aurelius once said in Meditations, it is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live. The biggest risk in life is not failing. It's never trying. Arjun, the boy from the small town, took this lesson to heart. One day, he stood up in class and read aloud a poem he had written. His voice trembled, his hands shook. People laughed, but he didn't stop. He read until the end. That day, something broke inside him, not his spirit, but his chains. He realized that the laughter of others could not kill him, but silence could. Years later, Arjun became a celebrated writer, and when people asked him how he found the courage, he would smile and say, it wasn't that I had no fear. It was that I chose my dream over my fear. Remember this. Every time you feel fear, it's proof that you are standing at the edge of growth. No fear means no growth. So if you want to change your life, you must walk through fear, not away from it. Let me leave you with one final quote in this chapter from Paulo Coelho's Warrior of the Light. A warrior of the light knows that fear is a sign of growth. Every step he takes into the unknown brings him closer to his destiny. So, the next time fear grips your heart, don't ask, How do I get rid of it? Ask instead, what destiny is it pointing me toward? Because beyond fear lies freedom. And beyond freedom lies a life you were meant to live. Chapter 3: The Secret of Unshakable Focus. There was once an old archer who lived in a quiet village. People called him the Silent Hunter, not because he hunted animals, but because he hunted distractions. Every morning, before the sun rose, he would set up a wooden target in the forest. He would stand still, bow in hand, eyes locked. Hours would pass, yet he would not shoot. Villagers who passed by would whisper, "He's wasting time. Why doesn't he just release the arrow?" But the archer knew a truth they did not. It is not the arrow that hits the target. It is the focus behind it. When at last he released the bowstring, the arrow would fly straight, unshaken by the wind, unbroken by doubt. Always, it struck the center. Focus is a quiet force that shapes greatness. It is the reason a candle's flame flickers while a laser beam cuts through steel. It is the reason some people spend years working hard, but stay in circles, while others move mountains with fewer steps. Stephen Covey, in The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, wrote, "The main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing." Most of us don't fail because we lack potential. We fail because we scatter it. Let's take an example from history. Leonardo da Vinci had countless ideas, but he struggled to finish many projects. His genius was unmatched. Yet even he admitted, "I have offended God and mankind because my work did not reach the quality it should have." Why? Because his focus was divided. On the other hand, Thomas Edison, though not considered a genius in the same sense, devoted relentless focus to inventing. He said, "Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration." By focusing deeply on applied effort, he changed the world. Distraction is a true thief of time. Think about how many times you pick up your phone each day. How many hours slip away into endless scrolling. How many dreams die, not because you weren't capable, but because your focus was fractured. Cal Newport in Deep Work said it clearly. Clarity about what matters provides clarity about what does not. In other words, when you know your true goal, every distraction becomes an enemy. Here's a story about a young man named Daniel. Daniel wanted to be a musician. His heart burned with melodies, but his life was filled with noise, parties, social media, endless distractions. He practiced sometimes, but not enough. He wondered why he wasn't improving, why others surpass him. One day, his mentor told him, "Talent is nothing without focus. The sun gives light to the whole earth, yet it cannot burn a leaf. But when that light is focused through a lens, it sets the leaf on fire. Do you want to shine or burn?" That night, Daniel deleted half the apps on his phone. He created a strict routine, 2 hours of practice every morning, without interruption. At first, it was difficult. His mind kept wandering, but day by day his focus sharpened. His music deepened. Years later, Daniel stood on a grand stage, performing for thousands. And when people asked him how he did it, he smiled and said, "I stopped scattering my fire. I chose to burn." So how do you build unshakable focus in your own life? 1. Decide your one thing. As Gary Keller wrote in The One Thing, what's the one thing you can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? Once you know this, protect it like treasure. 2. Cut the noise. Remove distractions before they remove your destiny. Turn off notifications. Create sacred hours for deep work. 3. Train your attention. Focus is like a muscle. The more you practice, through reading, meditation, or single tasking, the stronger it becomes. 4. Respect time. Your time is your life. Spend it like gold, not like dust. There's a parable about a young monk who asked his master, "Master, how can I achieve enlightenment faster?" The master replied, "Focus on one breath at a time." "But that's too simple," the monk argued. The master smiled and said, "It is simple. That is why it is so hard." Focus is not about doing more. It's about doing less, but better. It is not about speed. It is about direction. It is not about intensity for a moment. It is about consistency over a lifetime. Bruce Lee once said, "I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. That is focus. That is mastery. The old archer in the village once told a student, anyone can shoot an arrow, but only those who quiet their mind can strike the center of life. And so it is with us. If you want to change your life, you must quiet the noise, aim with clarity, and release your energy toward one true target. Because in the end, focus is not just about achieving goals. Focus is about becoming who you were meant to be. Chapter 4: The Silent Power of Persistence. In a remote village, there lived a farmer named Haruto. Every spring, he would walk into his barren field carrying a bag of seeds. He would plant them carefully, row by row, even though the earth looked dry and hopeless. His neighbors mocked him. "Why waste your time?" they laughed. "No crop will grow here. The soil is dead." But Haruto never stopped. Day after day, season after season, he watered the land, removed weeds, and waited in silence. Years passed. Nothing grew, but Haruto kept working. Then one spring, when everyone had long forgotten, the field exploded with life. Green stalks pushed through the soil, stretching toward the sun. The barren land became a golden sea of harvest. The neighbors stared in disbelief. And Haruto, smiling quietly, said, "It was not the rain. It was not the soil. It was persistence. Persistence is not loud. It does not announce itself with fireworks. It whispers. It stays. It digs." James Clear, in Atomic Habits, wrote, "You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems." Persistence is that system. It is the invisible force that turns ordinary people into legends. Think of the bamboo tree. For 5 years after planting, nothing appears above the soil. No shoots, no leaves, just emptiness. But underground, the roots are growing, spreading deep and wide, building the foundation. Then, in the 5th year, something astonishing happens. The bamboo shoots up to 80 feet in just 6 weeks. Did it grow 80 feet in 6 weeks? No, it grew 80 feet in 5 years. It just wasn't visible. That is persistence. In Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl said, "What is to give light must endure burning." Persistence means enduring the burn. It means staying on the path long after excitement has faded, long after applause has stopped, long after the world has forgotten. Let me tell you another story. This one about a painter named Alina. She dreamed of becoming an artist, but no gallery accepted her work. Rejections piled up like bricks. Friends told her to give up. Yet every morning, Alina set up her canvas and painted. Sometimes she painted in joy, sometimes in tears. But she painted. 10 years later, one of her paintings was discovered by a curator. Within months, her work was displayed in exhibitions across the world. Reporters asked her, "What was your secret?" She answered simply, "My secret was that I kept painting when no one was watching." Thomas Carlyle once wrote, "Permanence, perseverance, and persistence in spite of all obstacles, discouragements, and impossibilities. It is this that in all things distinguishes a strong soul from a weak." But persistence is not about stubbornness. It is about patience. It is about knowing that great things take time. A river cuts through rock not because it is strong, but because it never stops flowing. Here's how you can build persistence in your own life. 1. Fall in love with the process, not the result. Goals are fragile. Habits are unbreakable. If you love the process, you'll keep going even when results are delayed. 2. Measure progress by consistency, not by speed. Slow steps forward are still steps forward. 3. Expect failure, but don't stop. Every failure is a brick. If you keep stacking, one day you will stand on a castle built from them. 4. Create rituals. Persistence thrives on rhythm. Whether it's writing one page, exercising for 10 minutes, or learning one new word a day, rituals turn effort into destiny. A story is told of a sculptor who spent 30 years working on a single statue. When people asked him why, he said, "Because when I leave this world, I want to leave behind something that time cannot erase." That is persistence, not chasing quick applause, but crafting something eternal. Maya Angelou once said, "You may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated." Persistence does not mean you never fall. It means you rise every time you do. The farmer Haruto, the bamboo tree, the painter Alina, the sculptor, all shared one secret. They did not stop when it was easy to stop. And maybe, just maybe, that is the difference between those who only dream and those who live their dreams. Because in the end, success is not won in moments of inspiration. It is earned in years of quiet persistence. Chapter 5. Become the author of your own destiny. There comes a moment in every life when we stand at a crossroads. One path is familiar, safe, and predictable. The other is uncertain, frightening, but filled with possibility. It is at that moment we realize our future is not written by chance. It is written by choice. The truth is simple but powerful. We are the authors of our own stories. The pen is in our hands, and every day is a blank page waiting for our words, our actions, our persistence. The story of Nelson Mandela. Let us begin with a man who spent 27 years in prison, yet never gave up on the dream of freedom. Nelson Mandela was locked away, silenced, and beaten. But even in that cell, he never surrendered his authorship of destiny. When he was finally released, people expected him to be angry, vengeful, bitter. Instead, he chose forgiveness. He chose reconciliation. Mandela wrote a new story, not just for himself, but for an entire nation. His words remind us, I never lose. I either win or learn. That is a mindset of someone who writes destiny with courage, not fear. You are not a victim of circumstance. Many people believe life is something that happens to them. They think fate controls everything, that luck decides who wins and who loses. But history tells us otherwise. From The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho comes this timeless line. When you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. This is not magic. It is mindset. When you decide to pursue your dream with all your energy, opportunities appear, doors open, helpers arrive. You begin to see paths that were invisible before. Destiny bends toward persistence. The mirror test. Imagine standing in front of a mirror each night. Instead of asking, was I successful today? Ask yourself, did I live true to the story I want to write? This is what Anne Frank meant when she wrote in her diary. Even while hiding from Nazi persecution, how wonderful it is that nobody need wait a single moment before starting to improve the world. Her circumstances were tragic, yet she refused to let them define her. She took control of her inner world and left behind a story that still inspires millions. A story within a story, The Potter's Clay. There's a story about a potter shaping clay on a wheel. Every time the pot spins, the potter presses, molds, and reshapes it. Sometimes the clay resists, sometimes it cracks. But the potter does not give up. With steady hands, he shapes the clay into a masterpiece. We are both the clay and the potter. Life spins us around, circumstances press upon us, but we have the power to reshape, to reform, to direct the final outcome. The masterpiece is not given, it is created. Famous words to carry. From Invictus, the poem that inspired Mandela. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. These lines echo across time, reminding us that no matter what storms rage outside, the steering wheel of destiny remains within us. From Steve Jobs in his Stanford commencement address, your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Jobs' life was proof that following your inner voice can rewrite not only your own story, but also the story of an entire generation. So take the pen, take control, write boldly, live courageously, and shape your own destiny. Because in the end, life is not about being a reader of stories. It is about being the storyteller of your own life. As we come to the end of this journey, remember this. Every day you live is a blank page. Every choice you make is a word in your story. Every moment you persist, focus, face your fears, and claim your mornings as a chapter written with courage. You have learned through these stories. Chapter 1. The Power of Morning Choices. How the way you start your day shapes your life. Chapter 2. The Courage to Face Fear, because beyond fear lies freedom. Chapter 3. The Secret of Unshakable Focus. One true target, undistracted, builds mastery. Chapter 4. The Silent Power of Persistence. Small steps repeated turn into greatness. Chapter 5. Becoming the author of your own destiny. Your life is your story, and the pen is in your hands. As Paulo Coelho wrote in The Alchemist, when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you to achieve it. But the universe cannot act alone. You must act. You must choose. You must persist. You must write your story every single day. So, dear friend, if you are ready to change your life, start today. Take control of your mornings. Face your fears. Focus deeply. Persist silently. And become the storyteller of your own destiny. Because your life is not a draft. It is a masterpiece in progress. If this story inspired you, subscribe to The Storyteller and join our community of dreamers, doers, and creators. Every week, we share stories, lessons, and wisdom that guide you toward the life you were meant to live. Remember, your story matters. Your story can change lives. And your story is waiting to be written. Thank you for listening. Keep writing, keep living, and keep dreaming.